The movie industry as a whole underrepresents black talent. Because of this, several black actors decided very recently to uncover Hollywood's dark secrets regarding black actors. Keep watching this video to see why this issue is now public knowledge after Denzel Washington brought it to light. Fewer than 6% of the people who write, direct, and produce films made in the United States are black. Also, the percentage of representation is significantly lower in some genres, such as the superhero genre. We've learned that black talent is often overlooked for projects unless senior team members are also black. Motion pictures that feature a black producer, which accounts for just 8% of all films, or a black director, which accounts for only 6% of all films, are substantially more likely to have a black writer. In addition, there is a much increased possibility that a movie will also feature a black director if the producer of the picture is of African descent. The same is true in Hollywood. When a black person is an actor in a movie, it is far more probable that a black person will be the producer. More specifically, more than 4 out of 5 movies a black person created also include a black actor. Additionally, black professionals are grossly underrepresented in executive decision-making jobs across the board, although these positions are critical to the success of businesses. On the other hand, white people make up 87% of executives working in movies, whereas white people make up 92% of film executives. Even when contrasted to industries as predominantly white as energy and banking, the film business continues to have a disproportionately high number of white employees. This underrepresentation is also seen on the purchasing side, where black distributors only make up a tiny portion of the overall total. One black executive provided the following example while explaining the problem. Many former studio execs get production deals as independent producers affiliated with the studio, so whatever inequity is prevalent in the studios will carry over to the mix of producers. The reality that black actors are still grossly underrepresented on screen is obscured by the popularity of select movies and television programs that feature black protagonists. Black actors play only 11% of leading film roles and are frequently funneled into race-related projects, typically receiving lower investment in production and promotion. Although their overall representation among film casts is broadly in line with the 13.4% share of the black population in the United States, their overall representation in film casts is similar. In 2019, over 14% of major roles on TV shows were played by black actors, while black actors played fewer than 12% of lead roles on broadcast shows. Also, the percentage of streaming programs that have black leads is far lower than that of broadcast shows. In 2019, it was less than 5%, which is less than half of what it was for broadcast series, and barely a third of what it would be if it reflected current demographics. Although all 3 platforms have made some headway in terms of the overall representation of minorities, the increasing development of streaming makes it especially important for the industry that it continues to make success in this area moving ahead. In addition, Netflix has commissioned an outside research firm to provide a study on including its programming. This research, conducted by the USC Annenberg Inclusion Initiative, demonstrates substantially stronger on-screen representation in Netflix's productions. During the 2 years from 2018 to 2019, black talent accounted for 15.2% of lead or co-lead parts across movies and scripted series. However, the survey also revealed relatively low percentages of black talent in above-the-line jobs, such as creator, producer, writer, or director. Black talent in above-the-line roles made up just 6.6% of such roles for films and 7.9% for scripted series throughout 2018 and 2019. These above-the-line positions had a significant multiplier impact on representation, which is consistent with the results of our investigation into theatrical releases. For example, when a non-black creator produced a series for Netflix, just 15.4% of the series regulars were black. Still, when a black creator was behind the development of the series, 72% of series regulars were black. The broader consequence of this phenomenon is that black creatives bear the weight of black diversity and inclusion. When there were no nominees of color in any of the main acting categories at the Academy Awards for 2 years in a row, 2015 to 2016, the hashtag #OscarsSoWhite emerged on Twitter as a prominent soundbite to discuss the issue. Nancy Wang Yuan described #OscarsSoWhite as a symptom of Hollywood's larger race problem in her book, real inequality. Since the beginning of the cinema business, white people have predominated as innovators, performers, and financiers. Actors and filmmakers who are members of racial or ethnic minorities work hard to carve out a niche for themselves in a notoriously cutthroat industry. But they must also contend with the challenges of isolation, marginalization, and undervaluation. For African Americans, filmmaking has been an artistic and commercial enterprise and a social and political endeavor. This has ranged from entertaining the black audience that was locked out of white theaters during the Jim Crow era to portraying black representations and aesthetics that were omitted in mainstream films, to bringing the stories of racial conflict and tension from the perspectives of African American filmmakers, Cripps 1977, Rines 1996. Because of this, it should not come as a surprise that the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People presents the Image Award to honor exceptional works produced by people of color in the cinema and television industries. Even though several African American actors such as Will Smith, Denzel Washington, and Samuel L. Jackson are major actors with sustaining box office power, black films that revolve around topics especially relevant to black communities, for example, fighting racism, overcoming adversity, and religion, and or where black actors comprise the majority of the top-billed cast, is primarily targeted to urban markets because of their perceived limited appeal. African American performers involved in black independent films are often devalued in the mainstream film business, since successful crossovers are not automatically anticipated outcomes. For instance, Tyler Perry is a prominent actor, director, and producer of various iconic black television programs and film series, notably the Medea series. But although Perry successfully crossed over to the mainstream, he has not yet led a mainstream picture or directed a film that has a chance of being recognized by mainstream cinema awards. Hollywood, more specifically the major studio system, not only dominates the film business in the United States, but also the cultural economy on a worldwide scale. This is since the development of Hollywood displays the ideals of neoliberal economics and the global status of the United States. Hollywood centrism in the global film industry overshadows innumerable cinematic productions in third world countries or the indigenous fourth world. This occurs when the attention of the global audience is held by Hollywood's blockbuster movies, which are supported by abundant budgets and cutting-edge technological innovations. In addition, Hollywood films may be a potent but pernicious medium for the Eurocentric recounting of colonial histories or the US-centered narrative of international political history, both of which intrinsically contain racial ideology. Stuart Hall, Evans, and Nixon, 2013, proposed the concept of a regime of representation to understand the politics of racial ideology represented in films. They define this concept as the whole repertoire of imagery and visual effects through which difference is represented at any one historical moment. This difference of the racialized other from the dominant group has been handled with a variety of tropes, which represent various historical epochs. Additionally, the difference as well as the degrading treatment of the other have been normalized in Western popular culture and society. According to the argument presented by Stuart Hall, these racial tropes and stereotypes are important components of what is known as a racialized regime of representation in today's society. Mainstream Hollywood, which white producers and directors mostly dominate, has predominantly developed and marketed movies with white protagonists and protagonists who are white to attract white viewers, who are valued more than audiences of other racial groups. And that wraps things up. We appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Please hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one.